with Blair Kaplan, and we are doing a review of, well, I guess what we're thinking is going to happen in 2020 with social media and Instagram. And Blair, how about you tell a couple of words about yourself, introduce yourself, and then we can dive right into it.
Sure. I'm Blair Kaplan Venables. I am the president of Blair Kaplan Communications. I also specialize in launching startups and business development. I'm a storyteller. I'm a creator. I'm a speaker. I'm a writer. I'm from Winnipeg. I made the migration out west to Vancouver and then fell in love with my now husband and moved to Pemberton. People ask me if I ski or snowboard, and my answer is that I hot tub.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so I'm formally trained in public relations. I started Blair Kaplan Communications in 2008, so it's about 11 and a half years old. One of my clients calls me a pioneer of social media marketing because I was doing it before it was a profession, before it was like a job title. And yeah, I just love telling stories and getting creative. And it's really fun playing around in the digital space and kind of seeing what kind of engagement we can get with different stories and different mediums and different platforms.
Excellent. And Blair and I are teaming up to do a social media strategy session for 2020 at the Chamber of Commerce, January 3rd. That's a little plug if you're watching this in a timely manner. So let's dive right into it. What do you see coming in 2020 that you think that business owners should be aware of or kind of have on their radar?
So marketing on social media, a lot of it, there's strategy behind it, but sometimes it's a bit of a game where you're trying to beat the algorithm. And what's exciting is when a new platform or a newer platform comes out, being a brand, trying to experiment on how to tell your story on that platform. And something that I've noticed recently, and other marketers have noticed it as well, is that TikTok has become really big. And so I dove in and got an account, and what I was noticing is how creative you can get within the platform of TikTok. And it's fully focused on video and video editing. And the reach I was getting with very simple videos and very simple hashtags was surpassing what some of the brands some of the exposure I was able to get on Instagram. So what that really tells you is that TikTok, which isn't owned by, Facebook or Instagram, and it's its own platform, really has an algorithm that favors storytellers, whether you're just a person or a brand. So I think TikTok is really going to blow up for brands and marketing in 2020. And the way their edit videos are, you're able to repurpose those videos for other social media networks. So I think a lot of brands are going to start getting experimental there. And because video is so powerful, I think a lot more brands are going to be diving into video marketing as opposed to, spending budgets on content and and images. So I think video and TikTok are both going to be really, really big in 2020.
Yeah, I totally agree. So for those of you that are not familiar with TikTok, it's basically like a video editing software that's super souped up with music and really fun kind of gadgets to use. And it's 15 seconds, so it's really like a format, kind of an Instagram stories format, and it works really well with Instagram because you can download your TikTok videos and then you can have them save on your phone and then upload them to Instagram. And the little ninja trick to get rid of the TikTok logo, you can kind of put your Instagram story a bit bigger and it like hides the logo. You can hide it behind other things, but actually I had it on my list as well. And I think one of the big thing in 2020, I think, that I could see coming is that videos are going to be, there's going to be lots of videos, vertical videos. TikTok is vertical video, IGTV is vertical video, and videos with more like editing in them, so like TikTok allows you to do. And I think there's more and more coming, and I'm pretty sure Facebook is coming with Reel. That's a video editing software as well that's super easy to use, so that within the platform you'll be able to really tweak your videos. And another thing I have a feeling that might be coming is the return of sound, because there's lots of videos that we're watching on social media right now that are, you don't even put sound on them because people by default don't use sound. But what's really cool with TikTok is the sound, because you have access to so many like fun music to add to it. So I'm preaching for a return of sound. What do you think?
Maybe now with like the resurrection or like the emergence of AirPods and like uninvasive earbuds, sound is able to be revived. Because I know I watch a lot of videos in places where like not everyone wants to hear my video, or even at home if I'm like looking at TikTok, my husband thinks I'm a weirdo. He's always going, like, what's that? Oh, it's nothing. You know, I try to, you know, post my TikToks or watch videos when no one's around, unless it's, you know, an educational video that has captions. But you're right, TikTok is about the creative element. And a lot of times the TikToks and the videos are timed to the beats and the tunes of the music or the sound effects. So that'd be interesting to see if the return to sound happens, because I don't really have a solution, because sometimes in meetings when I shouldn't be looking at my phone and I can't have like my sound and my video turn on, right? So
yeah.
That could be
So we'll see what happens with that. But definitely it may, like TikTok just added sound as something you could add as easy as a sticker or glitter or anything else, and makes it the video super cool. Talking about videos too, I was thinking about like IGTV and series concept, and the fact like the binge watching thing, where like a little bit like Netflix, if you watch say episode 1, you know that there's episode 1 to 10. And I think we've been creating videos a little bit like that before, but there's kind of something to keep in mind if you're a creator or a business or a brand, that if you're going to do some video creation, maybe think about the concept of creating a series. And I think people like to know where they start and where it ends. What's your thought on the future of videos?
You know, I think like I was doing, you know, just some reading up as I, you know, preparing for the next year and working on my business plan for the next year. And a lot of predictions are saying that brands are going to be focusing on, you know, more longer form content when it comes to IGTV and creating kind of more mini series. And Instagram is set up so it's not hard to do. So it's something that anyone can take part in, creating longer Instagram, you know, IGTV videos for Instagram and repurposing that content for stories and for your feed. And, you know, you can start as simple as trying a 3-part series and storyboarding it out. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a big daunting task. And I think it's something that every brand or business person should experiment with, because you don't know if it's going to work with your followers until you try it. That's how I feel about any feature. And it, you know, if you're trying to figure out how to build out a series, the internet is full of different tips and tricks and platforms to help navigate that. But I think finding a simple storyboarding template and figuring out the type of stories you want to tell in a 3 or 4-part series, breaking it out, preparing, and even maybe recording all that content at once and, you know, launching it in different days or different times or different weeks could be really cool.
Yeah, and I think it helps you too as a content creator to know where you're heading and to have a bit of a plan, and then allows you to have really kind of structure and quality content to post, because you have a little bit more thought behind it potentially. What do you see happening with Instagram?
So Instagram, what I've noticed happening, and I don't think it's shying away, because I have various clients in various industries and I'm watching what other people are doing, you know, in the world of Instagram. And I think the aesthetic is going to stay. The people who are, you know, curating the way their feeds look, specific colors or themes or tones. I specifically don't do that. I tried. I'm more of a free spirit. I want to post what I want to post. I don't want to coordinate what I want to, you know, usually there's a bit of like blues and nature and themes naturally, just because I post similar content. But I really think people fixating and spending time designing what their Instagram feed looks like is going to still be very visible. But I think the captions in people's posts are going to be more stories. They're not going to be the 1 sentence, 2 sentence, 3 sentences, but we're going to start seeing more paragraphs, more storytelling. And I just think because there's going to be a lot more effort put into the words associated with the images and videos, I think that we're going to see people post less frequently to their feed, but they're still going to be posting more frequently to their stories. And I've noticed that my story posts have bigger reach and more interactions than my feed posts. So I spend more time posting to my story. And I think that's what's happening. I think the algorithm, I mean, Instagram keeps changing their algorithm, and you have to keep figuring out new ways to get your content seen. But for me, I find if I'm posting no matter what, not just strategically to get my content seen, but posting authentically, it does really well, specifically in my story.
Yeah, that's true.
I think visuals, people are going to really want to have that. Like, people treat their Instagram like their homepage, because you have your story highlights, you have your bio, your story highlights, and the way it looks. And some people want to have that theme look very specific to what they're doing. Like, I created a community called the I Am Resilient Project, where we share stories of resilience. And our Instagram, so I Am Resilient book, it's black and white and light green. And we kept a very specific aesthetic purposely for that. But then my personal one, Blair from Blairland, it's all over the place, because that's authentically who I am. I'm a creative. And I try to pick, like sticking to certain colors, and I want to post what I want to post. So, I mean, it depends on what your goals are, but I'm also not really trying to actively grow my following. I'm trying to tell the story of who I am and what I can do for other people's brands.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said about creating content of quality, even if it means posting less, but posting with a purpose and posting with quality content, as opposed to kind of just posting for posting. And I think like the whole caption thing, when people, I've seen like some people on Instagram, and I really like that. And I think there's really something to be said for that, is that you post, say, a post that's more of, and like a bit of a blog, but you post like a lot of information, and then you have an image on your feed or a video attached to it, but then you use your story to kind of talk about what's coming, what's your theme for the week, what you're working on, and then the information is on your blog, and it kind of works seamlessly with in your post, that is a longer format post or a longer IGTV format, and then you showcase it in stories, and then you use stories to kind of make people aware of day-to-day things and little things, and then drive them to read more, either on your, wherever it is that you have more content. So stories are a big thing all the time, and they're fun, and they work. And I think there's so many cool new software to really jazz up stories, to make it really fun, and they're super easy to use. They're getting to be more and more user friendly. So I think we'll see kind of, stories are not going anywhere anytime soon.
I just want to add something in before we go off that topic. I think what's really important is that people build in engagement into their strategies. I know we're in that era of being efficient, and I promote and schedule content. Like, I promote clients to schedule content. I actively promote it using Hootsuite or the Creator Studio and Facebook. But the thing is, social media is not a radio. It's not a one-way broadcasting system. It's a place to create conversations and engage. So I think it's really important to make sure that you're doing a lot of engagement, because that is how you are going to build your following, but also create that authentic feel, because you're a real person spending that time going in. And maybe you only spend 10 minutes a day on Instagram. You make a post, and the next 10 minutes you go in, you follow some new accounts, you look at specific hashtags that have to do with the post that you just made, you engage in specific posts that resonate with you. You go to a couple people's stories, you want to maybe respond. I love engaging stories. I love stories with polls or asking questions. Like, I love engaging, and I love seeing who engages with me. And I think by being a real person behind those posts is really going to do wonders for your brand. And it's really easy to build that into your schedule. And if you do schedule a bunch of content, just make note that maybe you schedule your content to go out 10 a.m., but at 5 p.m. you have to sit down and watch The Price is Right, or maybe it's at 4 p.m., whatever time The Price is Right is on with your husband. You spend some of that time while you're on social media engaging, because you can't just put content out, because people see through that.
Yeah. So post with a purpose. Post with a purpose, be genuine, and follow.
Like, don't just post, but be there. Spend time having conversations with people. Go to their posts. Tell them how you feel about their picture or their video. Engage with their stories. Follow some new people. Let them know that, you know, you're there, and ask questions, because those dialogues are going to show that you care, and people are going to want to give that attention back to you.
Yeah, you're there and you care. And you have quality interaction. I have in my notes for Instagram, you can tell me what you think about that. So I have micro-influencers and user-generated content.
Those are my next 2 points.
Yay.
I have a list here. So user-generated content is something that I've strongly believed in for many, many years. I've been using it probably since before we kind of knew what to call it. And I think it's really important, because if you create a community where people want to create content and tag you, or use a specific hashtag that you've created or branded, in hopes that you're going to share their post to your community, it's mutually beneficial. Because so for example, Catherine, if you create a specific hashtag and it's to promote Whistler, and you have 700 followers or 7,000 followers or whatever, and I love what you're doing, I'm going to go create my own post and use that same hashtag in hopes that you see it and that you're going to share my post with your followers. And that gives us both the benefit of, one, now I have a whole new audience looking at my content and who I am, because you're going to give me credit. And two, you just had someone create content for you. Because as we know as content creators, that is the meat and potatoes of what we do. And it also is one of the biggest challenges, because we want to create unique and engaging content. So having an army of people out in the world creating images and videos in hopes that you're going to share it on your social media network is like the golden nugget. Like it's a dream. And so if you do social media marketing for a bigger brand that already has that following, you should have a user-generated content strategy. And if you're a smaller brand, maybe you team up with a couple other smaller brands and you create a strategy together.
That's a super smart way to go at it, is to team up and collaborate. And I think that works really good. And I think for the user generated content as well, one way to go at it too sometimes is like, if you don't necessarily have, say if you have a branded hashtag, then it's easy because you click on that hashtag and you see people that have posted using your brand hashtag and so on. But also, if you can just even start by asking people for reviews or anything that backs up who you are, what your business is about, and just have a little bit of a backup from other people. And I think, like, I don't know if you do Christmas shopping online, but the first thing I do is look at the review to see if the doll falls apart after 2 minutes kind of thing. And I'm like, I truly trust what people are saying. And so by using user-generated content, you are actually showing people, you know what, I can tell you as forever that our product or my services are the best, but don't take my word from it. See what others have to say. And user-generated content is a way to have that and to have people endorse and kind of back up who you are. And that goes a long way for people just wondering. And it kind of really gives you a boost.
I think something that's important is that depending on how you want to obtain it, just if people are tagging your brand, so, you know, just tagging your username, what you want to do is you want to, unless it's a specific campaign, but if you want to share other people's content, just make sure you ask for permission. That's just the big thing, and always give credit. So permission and credit are both things that you want to make sure that you do, or have and do, when you're sharing other people's content, because you don't want to share something without permission because that person may not approve. Especially, I found with professional photographers, some of them are very protective of how their images are used. So that's just little
and
tip.
it's just good to ask permission. I know when people ask me on Instagram, and like sometimes I give them lifelong okay, like some hotels or some people in Whistler, I'm like, yeah, you can share my contact all the time, my posts, but I'm super thankful that they do, and it keeps me on the radar to see when they're going to be sharing my content, so I can latch up on that and thank them and so on. So it's just nice and polite to do so, and then it goes a long way. What do you think of shopping? I have a feeling that shopping, like if you're selling physical goods or maybe even services, but that Instagram shopping and like the one-stop shop is really the way to go of the future. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think shoppable Instagram posts, I think Instagram is testing it out with some bigger influencers. And I think shoppable posts are a thing that's happening. Removing friction from someone's user experience is extremely important. So if someone's scrolling on Instagram and someone's scrolling and I'm holding a bag and someone wants to buy it, they can literally click that bag and be taken to a screen to buy it. Why wouldn't, brands want to use that? I think they're going to have to be strategic because you don't want to be inundated. Like when I'm on Instagram, I don't want to feel like I'm browsing a catalog.
No.
And so I think as long as brands are very strategic about how they do that,
yeah,
it'll be good. But I'm worried that I see it maybe, like, here's an example. We didn't actually talk about this yet. So influencers. Way back when, here and there, people were influencers. But now there's so many people who are influencers, and because of guidelines, you see when it's a paid partnership or hashtag ad, and where's the authenticness in that post? I don't know. Like, I don't feel fooled that this fitness influencer is now promoting a blender or like a lamp. Like, to me, if they're not always talking about their happy lamp, and then all of a sudden, it's all these certain posts, and then there's a happy lamp post, and then I see hashtag ad or paid partnership, it doesn't seem authentic. And because they're promoting it, I'm not going to go out and buy it. Like, I don't think it really works. Before, when not a lot of people were doing it and the regulations weren't as strict, it was more believable. And we can talk a bit more about influencers in a bit, because I think everything's moving towards micro-influencers. But I think the same thing's going to happen with Instagram shopping. I think if specific brands are using it strategically, it could be done really well. But if we start to get too inundated with it and people start selling crap on Instagram, like a Birkin bag or Guess sunglasses or a Lululemon hoodie, those are, or anything really, anything, Sephora, those are great. But what happens when Wish, that silly online shop that starts to sell you these weird inventions that I keep getting ads for, like, and if you were watching this and you get these ads, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But I don't want to be scrolling on my Instagram and then be inundated with a sponsored post with Wish trying to sell me some sort of weird mechanism to go to the bathroom in the woods, which my husband showed me the other day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right? Like, I don't want it, because if my Instagram experience is spoiled by spammy shopping posts, I'm going to spend less time on Instagram and I'm going to spend more time elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it circles back into the storytelling, is that you want to tell a genuine, authentic story behind whatever it is. So say if you're an interior designer and you show a new design of a living room you made and you explain the story behind it, what was the pain point of your client and how did you solve it and what's in there. And then as part of that beautiful, say, living room you just designed, people can actually look and click like the couch or the lamp. That's one thing, but you just have to be thinking about quality and storytelling. But I must say that removing the friction is so nice. And if you are a brand that's selling whatever it is you're selling, instead of putting, say, 5 soaps and say buy this, if you put a beautiful photo of people relaxing and then there's the little soap bar and you'd say it in the story, and all of a sudden people can just seamlessly
relaxing
click
on the
on
couch
that
with my soap.
Or even your book, if you're putting, when your book's going to be on sale, instead of paying bunch of photos of books saying buy this, you can have some people in it and holding it, but all of a sudden that book is a seamless experience to buy it. Maybe I think people want easy.
Maybe I should test that out, because my book should be ready probably early spring, late winter. So maybe I should test it out when I have a book.
There you go. I'll hold your book, or people that are part of the project. But I think there's something to be said about, I guess, removing the friction. Another thing I have, well, do you want to say something about influencers before
I think, like, back to what I was saying about the whole, here's my lamp, paid posts. People are starting to see through it. And I really think the micro influencers, the 20,000 or less followers, are really going to start seeing an uptake in being more influential because their engagement is higher, because it's not about the amount of followers they have, it's about the engagement and the eyeballs on their posts. But I generally think the world of influencers, I mean, and I was doing my research to see if anyone else predicted this, and no one else kind of in my research did, but I think Instagram influencers are just going to be a thing of the past soon, because there's a lot of them, and like it's just, to me, not authentic. Like, I have a lot of followers, I've had brands reach out to me, and I've declined I think almost every single offer, whether it's free products or money, because I don't want them to control what I'm posting. I want to post what I want to post. You know, it'd be different if I authentically posted like my favorite like coconut water, and then they sent me a package or like a case to thank me. I think that's fine. But I don't know, like, I spend a lot of time on social media, and I know you do too. And when you see influencers posting, and because they have to declare that it's a paid or sponsored post or an ad, like, how do you feel when you see that?
Well, it depends. There's some, I like the ones that say, this is a paid whatever something, but I only ever choose brands that I truly interact with. And they have the people that really care, I found, really go out of their way to put a big disclaimer saying this is truly a brand I believe in, and so on and so forth. And I think it takes a lot of time to do to do blogs and to do all that. So I kind of get it in a way, as long as it's something that you genuinely embrace. And I think there's more to be said about a brand ambassador than an influencer, because if you become an ambassador for a brand, it's because you truly believe not only in the product, but in the values of the brand, and they've taken you under their wings. So maybe there's more of that going along than just an influencer kind of saying this is cool and you should do it because I'm popular type thing.
Right. And you know, way back when, 05 to 08, I worked for Lululemon before really social media was like a thing. And Lululemon really created this beautiful ambassador program that I think translates really nicely into social media. And I think that type of model really is more authentic. So whether it's micro influencers or ambassadors, I think things are going to shift when it comes to that in the sphere of, you know, marketing brands online.
Perfect. We've said it here before Social Media Examiner comes up with it in a week.
You hear that, everyone? These are my predictions.
Right? Twice now that I make predictions and Social Media Examiner comes out with it a week after, and I was like, so we've said it here. Okay. One thing I've put that I think it's really interesting, that's more a Facebook thing, and it's chatbots and the whole bot scene. And I kind of went back and forth. I was so stoked when it first came in. I was like, this is the future. This is so cool, because instead of chatting with someone and then you lose the chat when it's within Messenger or within somewhere you can take with you, you never lose kind of your support system and so on. But then I figured, it's super spammy, because I don't want people in my Messenger or text messages come, or advertisers reach to me all the time. And then now I'm back at thinking that there is really a room for chatbot, as long as it's done properly and that it really serves a purpose, and that there's a human that steps in at some point of the process to help out. But I think there's a way where it can actually be used in a really nice way to really help customers and businesses. What's your thought on that?
I think if you have the time and resources to set up a proper chatbot system, even within Facebook, it is 100% worth it. I have a client who's a realtor who spent a ton of time setting up that, and it has done her wonders. It makes her stand up from her competition. Yeah, because I signed up, like, you know, I saw an ad, I wanted to learn more about one of the properties, I clicked on it, and then a chat started. And basically there's certain cues that chime her in as a real person. And what I saw with that is that it's a really great user experience, and it was done right. But even to start small, to see if a chat bot is right for you, on Facebook, you can set up an automatic response when people send you a message on Instagram and Facebook. So one of my other clients, there's a lot of frequently asked questions that come in on social media. So what I did was I set up an autoresponder that answered those questions. And it was like, hey, we can't, we checked our messages between this hour and this hour. We're not always available. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But if you're inquiring about A, B, and C, here are the answers. And then most of the time the answers are right there. Hey, if this is a lost item, come on in and see if it's here. And so that also helps give people immediate answers. Hey, do you sell X, Y, and Z? If that's a regular question, answer it in an automatic response. You could, and I think that's a good way to ease into chatbots. I don't personally have any set up for myself. Maybe one day if I grow really big or my community grows really big with the I'm Resilient project, I'll have to set something like that up. But I think it's definitely something worth exploring.
Yeah, and I think to start with Facebook and seeing what the automated response are and how it works for you. And it's funny because sometimes you set it up and you think it's going to be awesome, and then you see the conversation and you can see right away, oh, I missed a cue on that. I should have like adjusted that answer or something, and then you eventually step in. But I think it's a nice first interaction so people feel acknowledged right away, even if you're not live on your platform. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, something we didn't talk on and that it hasn't changed in a few years, but social media, if you want your posts to be seen and be seen by the right people, specifically platforms like Instagram and Facebook, it's pay for play. You want to have a bit of an ad budget put aside so your posts and your brand is getting recognized, because the algorithm doesn't always necessarily show your posts to the right people or to people really, because they want you to spend money. We also didn't really talk about LinkedIn or Twitter or YouTube, but I just want to say a couple things. One, LinkedIn, I've connected with some pretty high up connected influential people from around the world in the business community. I think people underestimate LinkedIn. I love it. I make sure I have content going out Monday to Friday a couple times a day, well, at least once a day. And I spend time every day going in and engaging on LinkedIn. I love it, and I find a lot of really awesome and informative business articles there. And it's also really helped me establish myself as a thought leader in the social media world. And two, Twitter's really fun. I think Twitter is a really fun place, and especially if you're going to be at any events. So like if I go to a social media conference, I will start following the hashtags and the people who are going to be there ahead of time, engaging with them. And then while I'm there, I live tweet and cover it. And I try to meet those people I've engaged with in person, and I follow up with them after. It's a really great way to build your authority in that space, but also really make some great connections. So LinkedIn and Twitter, if you have those and you're not doing much with them, revive it. And if you want to learn more about it, you can reach out to me. But I think they're very powerful social media networks. And to be honest, sometimes content that I share on Facebook and Instagram, I'll also share on LinkedIn, because the right people will see it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I do that too. I've started, like, by default, I have some tabs set up on my computer with LinkedIn and Twitter, especially with video. I put videos up on LinkedIn. And you know what? I think it's something not to be forgotten. I think it can be a lot for people to maneuver everything, but there's a time and a place for everything. And it's just to be constant. Even if you keep a pulse on your account, maybe once a week on LinkedIn, you check your messages, you make sure you're there, you make some connection. And I 100% agree with Twitter at conferences and live events, or even to check the road, the road conditions. I really love Twitter too. I've kind of got back into it, and yeah. So it is what you can handle, but definitely not to be forgotten. One last thing, maybe on the pay per play, and that was actually on my list and I forgot to talk about it, is the cost of advertising. And in the last month, it went, you used to be able to advertise for $1 a day on Facebook, and then it was $1.04 a day, which is nothing, but it was really great to be able to do A/B testing, test different ads, see what was working, what was not, test your audiences. So now it's $1.04 a day, and which is not much, but it does add up a little bit. And I think what it's showing us for the future is that Facebook kind of picked up on the game of $1 a day, and they said, you know what, we are the one who are going to choose what's the minimum amount. And I think advertising is going to get to be, unfortunately, a little bit more expensive. And especially when you start, if you look at Google advertising and you try to run ads on Google, they're not cheap, like compared to Facebook and Instagram. So if you have a marketing budget, you need to have a marketing budget, basically is what it is for if you want to help your social media, but maybe be strategic, because I think the prices are going up.
Inflation.
Inflation. So I think that sums him up. That was awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to put this recording on, hopefully on a podcast that I'm working on. So in a podcast on YouTube, and it's going to be all over Facebook and everywhere, and I'll share it with Blair as well. So if you guys have any question, you can reach me, Catherine Hare at social media, or Blair Kaplan. And we also hope to see you at the Chamber of Commerce on January 3rd. And yeah, sounds good.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Blair. Bye-bye.